The following training is sponsored by the Neoga Library System. We serve our member libraries in Niagara, Orleans, and Genesee counties. You can always visit our main web page listed here at neoga.org, or certainly visit your local library homepage and use your library card to get access to streaming videos, downloadable music, audiobooks, ebooks, and even more from the comfort of your own home. Thank you. Okay, so in this soft skills series, this is part 4, time management. In my original video, I had said this about time management skills. The one phrase that I have actually heard in several meetings, which is very good, is I want to respect everyone's time and not run long. A laser focus on your content using a script, which I consider to be more formal with the points actually written out exactly. Or an agenda. So a script or an agenda being more of a guide of what you want to say, is actually vital to making good content. Shorter is not always better, but a laser focus is always necessary. So I looked at 2 different articles and combined them here. One was from John Casey on 6 tips for better time management. That was from WebMD. The other was from John Rampton, Manipulate Time with these powerful 20 time management tips from Forbes. So I started with John Casey on WebMD, and he writes, "The simple, unpleasant truth is that we are probably busier today than we ever have been. Notwithstanding the fact that a little science backs up this notion, the anecdotal evidence is overwhelming." You can see it all around us. Jana Jasper, a New York-based productivity expert and author of Take Back Your Time. People talk too fast. We're always in a rush. We start things and don't finish them and are constantly nagged by the idea that we've forgotten to do something, but we're not sure what it is. That people awash in labor and time-saving devices, from robotic vacuum cleaners to microwave ovens to computers, would feel so harried, so often seems counterintuitive. But what technology gives, it also takes away. As we have increased the number of time-saving devices and products to make our lives easier, we have found ways to fill the time. Of course, the laws of entropy, Isaac Newton, physics. Says Tracy Lynn Moland, a time management consultant and author of Mom Management, Managing Mom Before Everybody Else. And a chronic lack of time leads to stress. But the time management experts we spoke to all say that it is possible to reduce stress. Think about it as adding an extra hour to your day through time management techniques. Something as simple as knowing where your keys are in the morning, knowing where your kid's library book or homework is, will reduce a lot of stress, says Molan. She has a number of time management tips. John Rampton in Forbes lists these items. Now, he listed a bunch of other items, but I picked just a few that I really liked. And one of the things that he talks about was creating a time audit. Now, this was a little scary. I think of it a lot like creating a budget to figure out where your money goes. This is where your time goes. So when it comes to time management, the first step you need to take is finding out where your time actually goes. You may believe that you only spend 30 minutes on emails, but in reality, that task is eating up an hour of your day. The easiest way to keep track of your time is to download an app like Rescue Time, Toggle, or he says my app Calendar, to track everything you do for a week. I do have a picture here on the screen. You can see this. It looks like a weekly time audit that was made in simple spreadsheet form. But you can then access, if you do get an app, you can access a report to find out what's stealing your time. With this information, you can then make the appropriate adjustments. Set a time limit to each task. I've found that setting a time limit to each task prevents me from getting distracted or procrastinating. Now, for time limits, I know especially when we're working, we get interrupted by anything, the phone, patrons, other things that really are actually important. So, take this with a bit of a grain of salt, but when you have the opportunity to set a time limit, do so. For example, he says, if I want to write an article, for my blog, I give myself 2 hours. So if I start at 8 a.m., I try to get it written by 10 a.m. Number 3 here, he talks about is planning ahead. One of the worst things that you can do is wake up without a plan for the day. Instead of focusing on what needs to be done, you wander aimlessly. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. And take care of more trivial matters. That's why you should always plan ahead using one of these options. He mentions the night before you leave work for the day, spend the last 15 minutes organizing your office and composing a list of your most important items for tomorrow. We'll get into that most important tasks. First thing in the morning during your morning routine, write down the 3 or 4 most urgent matters that need to be addressed today and work on them when you're most productive. Now, that's not necessarily in the morning. It might be in the afternoon. It might be when you can get some quiet time if you're not at the desk or whatnot. But Mark Twain talks about spending your mornings on MITs. It's not the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but Mark Twain once said, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. Gross? Yeah, sure. But the point that Twain was making is that you should take care of your biggest and most challenging tasks in the morning, aka your most important tasks or MITs of the day. There are a couple of reasons why this is such an effective time management technique. For starters, you usually have the most amount of energy in the AM, although again, that is subject to individual styles and tastes. But it's better to tackle these tasks when you're not drained, whenever that happens to be. Also, though, you can use the feeling of accomplishment to get through the rest of the day. So it starts off the day on a very positive note, and it really can be good. I really liked this particular graphic that I found about what is most important versus not important, and what is very urgent versus what is not urgent, and how you can rank them versus 1, 2, 3, 4 as far as your tasks go. Now, this one is really, really tough. I include these things partially because I know I need to work on them. So they're things that I include. And in this particular one with Forbes, they talk about eliminating half work. Now, I've talked about this actually in my classes as far as continuous partial attention, and this is really, really tough, especially in this day and age. But eliminating half work. In our age of constant distraction, it is stupidly easy to split our attention between what we should be doing and what society bombards us with, writes James Clear in Forbes. Usually we're balancing the needs of messages, emails, and to-do lists at the same time that we are trying to get something accomplished. It's rare that we are fully engaged in the task at hand. Clear has dubbed this half work, and here are a couple of examples. You're writing a report but stopped randomly to check your phone for no apparent reason, although we know that your phone is very addictive. We can talk about that in another video. You try a new workout routine but switch to a new program a couple of days later because you read about it online. While talking on the phone, your mind wanders over to your email inbox. Regardless of where and how you fall into the trap of half work, the result is always the same. You're never fully engaged at the task at hand, you rarely commit to a task for extended periods of time, and it takes you twice as long to accomplish half as much. That one hurts, I know. Said Clear. He has found that the best way to overcome half work is by blocking out a significant amount of time to focus on one project and eliminate everything else as you can. For example, he'll pick only one exercise and only focus on that exercise while working out. He'll also carve out a few hours to devote to an important project, but will leave the phone in another room. This complete elimination of distractions is the only way I know how to get into deep, focused work and avoid fragmented sessions where you're merely doing half work. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.